Happy holidays. I'm Tyler Finn, host of the Abstract Podcast. And at the end of each episode, I ask all my guests the same question. If you could look back on your days of being a young lawyer, what is one thing that you know now that you wish that you'd known back then? For this bonus episode, we're going to hear some of my favorite answers from the past few seasons. Let's get started. First up, we have Adam Greenberg, former GC at brands like Warby Parker, Ro, and Blank Street. As Adam explains, being a lawyer doesn't mean you have to be a litigator.
I'd go back a bit further to law school.
Uh-huh.
And I would have told myself, being a lawyer does not necessarily mean you're a litigator. That's what it looks like on TV most of the time. But there is there are a plethora of options out there other than going to law school and going to be a litigator or law firm. I just kind of assumed that's what it was and hadn't spent much time exploring what other careers could look like. I think I eventually got pretty circuitously to the place where I'm really happy and I really love the profession, but hadn't even occurred to me back then that what I'm doing now was a possibility.
That was great. Next up, we have Kristin Uri, ESG expert, who focuses on the importance of building relationships.
I think when I think back to my early law firm associate days, the thing that took me a long time to realize was the importance of relationships. So I went into law firm life and I was all about the work production, all about the billable hours, all about having that perfect product, which is, I thought that it was really the key to success. And it is important clearly in that area. But what I learned in law firm life is really the make or break was the relationships that you built. And so having a proactive plan and a proactive approach to building those relationships is critical. And this is why when I was a general counsel, I always had a 90-day plan for every team member that brought on. And then at least half of that plan would be a list of names. And I would tell them, the most important thing in your first 90 days is to go find these people and build a relationship with them. Get on their calendar, set up 30 minutes, go to a function, however you do it. But I'm going to be asking you at the end of the 30 day or 90 days, do you know these people? Because I would pick out folks that I knew would be make or break for the team members.
Next up, Jasmine Singh, General Counsel of Ironclad, reminds us that you need to trust your gut.
Trust your gut. It's not going to lead you astray. And you're going to be okay because that gut is going to guide you in the right direction. And so many of us, myself included, spend a lifetime telling that gut to be quiet, right? Because we're like, this is what I have to do, or this is what's expected of me, or this is what I need to do to get to the next level or whatever, right? I wish I could go back and tell myself to stop doing that, to let that voice be loud and to listen to it. And listening to it doesn't make me, any less able to do my job or any less committed or any less resilient. As a matter of fact, it makes me more of those things because I can trust myself. And so I really wish I could, and this is what I try to do this for people that I mentor. I'm like, you know what's right for you, nobody else, right? And you can't tell that voice that's shouting it to be quiet, because it will only get louder over time, and you might find yourself in Las Vegas teaching spin, which, and being like, that, this is what it took for me to listen to that voice. And for me, that was incredible. And it was incredible because I had the privilege to do it, but not everybody does.
Trusting your gut isn't always easy. Matt Campobasso, General Counsel of Enfusion, encourages us to explore and examine our doubts.
I think what I would say is it's okay to doubt yourself. I feel like, lawyers are oftentimes like perfectionists. I am absolutely someone like that. It has taken me, 18 years now practicing to start to be able to show myself like grace. And, when you're young and you doubt yourself because you don't know how to do something or you've never encountered it, you start, if you don't harness that energy the right way, the self-talk becomes, you're a fraud, you're an imposter. I remember my first 2 years at Freeborn and Peters, I was like, they're going to fire me today, like every day. And then I would get my review and they would be like, you are our top second-year associate. And I would think, like, are you guys are messing with me, right? Like I honestly, and eventually you start to be like, oh, I'm learning. Everybody's figuring it out, right? We go back to your comment about the practice of law. And I think when you doubt yourself when you're young, you push it down, at least I did, and you don't allow yourself to just like kind of live in that. And so I think my advice to myself when I was a prosecutor, when I was a young litigator, don't be afraid to doubt yourself. Like explore where that doubt comes from, and then make a conscious choice to like lean into that and attack the things that cause that doubt, right? Whether it's a lack of experience or a lack of like not value, self-worth, any number. A doubt comes from so many different places, right? And I know every single human being has doubts in some shape or form. But yeah, I think people view doubt as a negative thing, and it is, I think conceptually is not great, but like it's not going anywhere. It's like fear, right? Like you're always going to be scared of something. But you can choose, like, do I ignore it, or do I like double click, and do I like dig into it, and do I use that as a method or a tool to be better? And I think doubt for me, when I learned to have a healthier relationship with doubt, is when I feel like I started to really accelerate my growth as a lawyer and as a person. So
Sarah Feingold has had a diverse career, from being the first lawyer at Etsy to the GC of Vroom, and now working full-time as a playwright. She draws on her experiences and reminds us that you don't have to do everything yourself all at once.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything yourself. I definitely, for a very long time, was very hard on myself and tried to do everything myself. And even now, still doing it a little bit. But I think I would tell myself, like, you don't have to do everything yourself.
Hey there, legal teams. Big news. SpotDraft's fall release is here, and it's our biggest update yet. With over 15 new features, it's packed with tools to make contracting faster and simpler for you. Want complete control over your workflows? You've got it, with customizable approvals that actually fit your processes. Looking for clarity? Use SpotDraft's new analytics offering to uncover insights and find ways for your legal team to move faster. We've also made it easier to manage your agreements with the new Legal Hub, a straightforward way to publish and update terms online without waiting on IT or marketing. And here's the game changer. Our AI tools, like Verify, take on the boring stuff, contract reviews, and metadata extraction, so your team can focus on making decisions that matter. It's everything you need to manage your contracts your way. Check it out at spotdraft.com/fall-release. That's spotdraft.com/fall-release. Now let's get back to the podcast. Chelsea Grayson has had a remarkable career, from big law to leading businesses through bankruptcies. She reminds us that most of all, businesses care about solutions.
You know how, like, I don't know if you've ever seen a nature show about scorpions, and they say that baby scorpions are actually much more lethal than adult scorpions, because adult scorpions know they know exactly how much poison to give you to stun you so they can get away or whatever. Baby scorpions will give you all the juice, so like you will die. As an adult, you could die from a baby scorpion sting, as an adult, you might actually live because they just wanted to like get away from you. And as a baby lawyer, I think all baby lawyers are like this. You're a baby scorpion. So you are absolutely the department of no, absolutely not. You don't lean into risk at all. You can't afford to, because you don't know what you don't know. And so you can't afford to say yes to anything, because everything is a no. That is not appreciated by clients. Clients do not. Clients want to hear no, but, or no, and, or yes, but, or yes, and. I mean, they want to hear solutions. They want to hear creativity. They want to hear that you can work with them, and they'll never hire you again if you just shut everything down. So I wish I would have understood a little bit better how to, lean in a little bit to the business needs of the clients earlier on. I learned it, of course, but it would have behooved me earlier in my career to learn that.
Like Chelsea, Ben Klein has also forged a path from GC to CEO. And he encourages listeners not to put pressure on themselves to figure everything out immediately.
What I wish I'd known is I put so much pressure on myself to get it right out of the gate. And for some people that happens, and that's great. But I think for a lot of people, it's whether you're a lawyer or not, there's some wayfinding that's required, right? As you sort of figure out what your place is in whatever your chosen career path is. So I think what I would tell myself now, of course, with 2020 hindsight, is not to be so caught up in thinking you make the perfect decision about your career right out of the gate, but to sort of approach the process like you would if you were navigating, and of course, you take a few steps ahead, and then every now and then you just reorient yourself. Am I going in the right direction? If not, it's okay to take a new path. And hopefully in time, if you keep sort of doing those assessments, you'll find yourself where you want to and where you should be. So I think that's what I would tell myself now, because I know I was pretty worked up early on about making the right decision every time.
Joe Green, Chief Innovation Officer at Gunderson Dettmer, has also had a different path. He encourages folks to keep an open mind and experiment throughout their careers.
One of the things that has really guided me on what someone once called my eclectic career path, I decided to take that as a compliment, backhanded though it might have been. Who knows? One of the things that's really guided me is something that I actually learned a long time ago when I was, I think, maybe in high school. I was reading biographies of people who, seem to have really, kind of done amazing things, found really interesting jobs. The type of people are, magazine articles, people who have this job where they're like, I wake up every day and I'm happy to go to work. I have to admit, that was not my experience of being a practicing lawyer.
Yeah.
I did not wake up every day thrilled to go to work. In part, that's what drives me to try to make it a better experience for all of my friends who are still, still doing it. I realized that people who ended up in jobs that they really loved, almost to a person, had no idea that existed when they were going through school, had no conception of how to get there. There was no linear path to that. And I followed a pretty traditional, I went to college, I went to law school, I went to Simpson Thacher, I went to another law firm, right? Keeping an open mind to, trying different things out, different possibilities, even when it seems scary, even when it feels like, hey, you're going off of this linear path. Oftentimes the linear path does not lead to places that people are thrilled that they ended up. And that's something that really stuck with me, and has, made me more willing than I think I might have otherwise been to, put myself out there, put things out into the universe and see what kind of comes back. And that's usually my advice for young lawyers, is to, be open to exploring different things. It's hard to carve out the time, especially when you're practicing law, to, kind of pursue other kinds of interests. But, if you're not happy doing what you're doing, try to find low risk ways of experimenting with things that you think you might be more stimulated by. Because the best thing about my job is that I wake up every day truly feeling like I'm going to do something that's stimulating and that I'm going to find interesting and hard. I like solving hard problems. And we've got plenty of those. So it keeps me busy.
One of my most accomplished guests has been Kristin Sverchek, president of Lyft. Even those at the top of the corporate ladder, though, can suffer from imposter syndrome, which she looks at a little bit differently.
I think what I wish I had known is that imposter syndrome can actually be a gift, not something that harms you. And what I mean by that is that there were moments when I spent extra time, obsessing and preparing and combing through things and thinking, lost my AirPod. I was so excited about the topic. And that imposter syndrome, that fear really drove me to be the best that I could be. I wish that we need to rebrand imposter syndrome, I think, with a positive spin, because ultimately what it ended up being for me was that drive to really excel and do well and put my best self forward. And that actually helped me tremendously. And so I wish I had that positive framing versus the negative frame of, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't belong here.
That's all for now. Thanks for listening. Happy holidays, and check back each week for more advice from our C-suite guests in each new episode of The Abstract.